Hello, and welcome to this mini lecture, kind of like a fun-sized candy bar, fun-sized lecture on critical reading by examining the rhetorical situation. So when we talk about the rhetorical situation, we are referring to the context that surrounds any piece of communication. But of course, we're going to talk more specifically about written text here, but just know that this can be for any kind of text, any sort of visual text, a video text, or even in a speech, an oral text, all right? So understanding this context is key to becoming a critical reader. Today, we'll explore 5 essential elements of the rhetorical situation. You see them here. We're going to talk about writer, audience, genre, exigence, and text. So let's start with the writer. The writer is the creator of the text, obviously an individual or a group. Knowing who the writer is can provide valuable insights into the text. What is their background? What perspective or bias might they have? What do they value? For instance, a journalist reporting on climate change may have a different approach than an activist or a scientist writing on the same topic. By understanding the writer's perspective, we can better grasp the purpose behind the text. Next, let's consider the audience. This is the group of people the writer aims to reach, obviously. Think about who the intended readers are. What are their values, beliefs, and knowledge level? A writer will tailor their message depending on the audience. For example, a scientific paper might be geared toward experts with technical language, whereas a magazine article on the same topic might be simplified for the general public. So, recognizing the audience helps you understand why the writer made specific choices in their presentation. The third element I want to talk about is my absolute favorite rhetorical term. I think it is the most important one, and it is genre. Genre is a fancy French word for type. It refers to the category or the form of the text, which comes with certain conventions and expectations. So in a news article, a research paper, a speech, or a blog post, those conventions, those expectations will be different. Every genre has its own style, its own structure, its way of presenting information. And the reason I love this rhetorical word so much is that knowing the genre helps you anticipate how the information will be delivered, what kind of evidence will be used, and it cuts down significantly the amount of time you could spend analyzing a text, right? So for instance, an opinion piece might be more subjective, while a research article will be more objective and evidence-based, and knowing that going into your reading is going to save you a lot of time, and it's going to really give you an interesting jumping off place for your analysis. That's because when you understand the conventions of a genre, then you can start to learn or start to identify how an author is breaking with those conventions for a particular effect. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about exigence, and this is usually the newest term for students, so you may not have heard this one before. So exigence is the reason why a text was created, which is different from purpose, which is what the author is seeking from the audience. That's a little bit different. So think of exigence like the occasion for the writing. It's the why now of the text. What motivated the writer to speak out now? Understanding the exigence gives us context for why the text matters. It could be a response to a recent event, a call to action, or a reaction to a societal issue. By identifying the exigence, we can better appreciate the urgency and the relevance of the text. And just a little note here, this is useful for when you're reading, but it's also useful for when you're writing. So if you want to write a really engaging introduction paragraph in an essay, think about sharing the exigence with your audience. Why now? Why is this relevant now? And that's a great place to start a written argument that you might create. Finally, let's return to that word text. Okay, so the actual content we read or we see, this includes the words, the images, or the multimedia elements that convey the message. When examining the text, consider what arguments are being made, what evidence is provided, and what tone is used. Look at how the writer constructs their message to achieve their purpose. The choice of language, the structure of the argument, and the style all contribute to how the text is received and interpreted. Okay, by examining these 5 elements, the writer, the audience, the genre, the exigence, and the text, we can begin to understand and to critically analyze any text. This approach not only helps us understand what a text says, but also why it says it and how it effectively communicates its message and what impact it intends to have. So the next time you engage with a text, whether it's in this class or in another class, just take a moment to consider these aspects. You'll find that this deeper understanding will make you a more critical and discerning reader.